Presentation is at 5:47. Used to be taught by Dr. Bin Chong, who is on sabbatical. Again, Professor Oliveria, and my next semester.
All right, thanks for coming, everyone. You probably, if you have not met the other professors in person, at least you know who they were. That's not the case with me. I'm absolutely new to you guys. But as I was telling some of the people here, I was a student here until very recently, and I went through the program and enjoyed it very much. We actually have 4 people from my team alone that have gone through this program. Very briefly about me, since I'm the new guy on the block. I work for an institution called Mind Research Institute. It's a non-profit organization that develops software to teach mathematics to kids. So it's like a neuroscientific approach to developing software, learning math the way your brain was wired to learn. I'll leave it at that. Before that, I used to work at Microsoft for too many years. And then before that, right after college, I was working at IBM. So I was a corporation kind of guy, and then I moved to a non-profit organization, quite a big change. And I had a really good time. Also, I'm new to Cal State Fullerton as a professor, but I'm not new to teaching. I used to teach at the University of Washington for 5 years until 2013. So I had a really good time, and I'm very honored to be part of the team here to cover for Dr. Chong. And I'm going to go through what we're going to cover in the next course and some of the basic details. If you go to the site today to Moodle, the Canyon, you're not going to see any content right now, but this content is ready. I'm just trying to merge the 250 and 51 together so I don't have to upload things in both locations, and the content is going to hopefully be uploaded later today. The first lecture at least, and then this presentation, some other documentation of the syllabus. So the textbook is the textbook that I used as a student, and same as Dr. Rios explained, it's hard to find a better book. Some of the books that we use here, you might look at them. The first class that I took here, I looked at the book, it was like 1980 something, and I'm like, you gotta be kidding me, right? No, it was actually a very good book in the end, because we're looking at the theory behind the topic that we're teaching. So I went through this book and actually found it to be very useful. There is one question that I actually had for the teachers, for Dr. Chung back then was, can I buy the online version, the Kindle version or whatever, because it's cheaper? And I said, absolutely. It's just that sometimes, because I have the paper copy, I'm referring to page 213, and in your Kindle it might be 357. But it's chapter 7, figure 12, and so on, so it's not really too hard. So if you want to go to the digital version, by all means, feel free to do that. There's going to be some other references. I'm reusing a lot of the material that Dr. Chung used. These references will be provided as material in the class. I'm not going to go into detail into what those references are, but as the classes evolve, you will see that there's going to be homework, and midterm and final are going to contain questions related to this. Actually, I'll take that back. We don't have a midterm, we have a final. So what happens, what are all of the assignments that we're going to have? We're going to have a discussion board with 10 topics. If you were to add it all up, you would see that there's 100 bullets, right? Same thing as Dr. Rios was saying, 10 topics in the discussion board. And I confess, the first class I was taking here, I was like, oh boy, I have to reply to all of the discussion boards. And then I started actually reading what other people were saying and figured that I was actually learning something, right? And it totally changed my perspective on these discussion boards can actually be useful. Don't look at it as a burden, but as an opportunity, to make it a lot easier. If you participate, every question that you participate with a meaningful comment or more, you get 2 points, total 20 points. The final exam is going to be a take-home exam. There's 30 points, and when I learned it, was like, oh, it's a take-home. Oh boy, thank you. It's going to be so much better. And it was actually hard, right? It wasn't easy. And I like the ones that are a little harder in the sense that they force you to really learn and do your research and go through everything that you actually learn in the class and demonstrate that. But it is a take-home. You're going to have a weekend to complete that project. There are 2 individual assignments. They shouldn't be too time-consuming, right? And they're 10 points each, totaling 20 points. So if my math is right, you add everything up and there's 100 points. Same policy as Dr. Chung, late work is usually not accepted, right? I mean, everything is given to people with plenty of warning, and obviously emergencies and unforeseen circumstances happen. So if something of that nature happens, please let me know as soon as possible and see what we can do about that. One thing that I'll say, and I think that applies to every class, and you probably already learned, that is, don't let things accumulate. Because one of the things that we can say about this course, besides being, having really good content and really good professors, is that it is also very time consuming, right? Having a day job like me and going through this program recently, it was very time consuming. At times I thought it was even more than I could afford. And then after the first semester, especially after the first year, I learned that by, avoiding things to accumulate, trying to be proactive. You know what? I have to apologize because there's oh no, it's here. It's like I didn't talk about the group project, but it is right there. So, going back to my point, try to be proactive, try to get your things as soon as you can. It makes your life a lot easier. The group project, I think that a lot of teams tend to continue, like you formed teams about a year ago, and sometimes there's a little bit of churn, but your teams are probably already solid. If they're not, if you need to join a team, send an email to the class, send a forum, comment in the forum, and look for teammates. If you need any help finding a teammate, let me know. I can ask around. I agree with the other professors here. A group of up to 5 and at least 3 people is ideal. More than that, it's hard to manage. And less than 3 becomes pretty time consuming. If you're not really sharing the load, And feel free to interrupt me at any time. So a lot of this information is going to be in the syllabus. The grading is, as you see on the screen, if you have above 90%, you're guaranteed an A. And then 80 to 89, you can get a B, and so on. And those numbers might be adjusted a little bit based on where the curve is for the class. Sometimes the department makes recommendations on like, okay, your curve was a little bit lower or a little higher, so we'll adjust. But that as a rule of thumb, that should be what you're going to expect. Course objectives. So software management, I like the word practical. We're going to learn practical approaches in measuring software engineering activities. There's so many things you can measure in software engineering, right? So what is it that really makes sense to measure? And how do you go about measuring that? And once you measure, how do you analyze the results? And once you've analyzed the results, what kind of actions do you take, right? Real life, right? You need to measure, something is wrong here, we need to start measuring in the school for, what are the points that might need improvement. So how do you go about putting a measurement process in place, implementing it, analyzing the results, and then taking action? This is what you saw in the previous slide, broken down in about 10 topics. And some topics will be, they'll last about a week. And the comments that you will be asked to make in the course, in some of the assignments are going to be related to whatever we're studying at that particular time. But very briefly through this, so we're going to spend 2 weeks just understanding the basics of measurements, and this is chapter 1 of the book. And the class project will be announced at the end of August. It's no secret. I need, though, to think a little bit more about topics. I want to be, I want to have a very inclusive approach. If you have a different idea of what kind of a project should look like, okay, but I want to be able to approve that, make sure that whatever you're doing, whatever you come up with is meaningful. I know you guys are crazy about CMMI, so we're going to talk a little bit about that, how measurement and analysis, are reflected within CMMI. Then, planning for measurement, right? So remember that we just talked about it. We decided that we're going to measure something, so we need to plan, what's the best way of doing that. Then we're ready to go. It's the next topic. We're going to be collecting data. After collecting data, then we get into an interesting part of it, which is how do you analyze all of that data, right? There's a lot of things that are interesting that when I actually looked at this, so I have over 25 years experience in IT, worked in large corporations, as I said, and we did a bunch of measurement, a bunch of things that we try to control and so on. And this course actually exposed me to some concepts in a much deeper way that I had ever actually tried to learn. And the statistics behind it all, we're going to talk about control charts. Control charts are actually a very interesting way to decide to look at the process, look at the results of the data collection and say, this is actually under control, this is not under control, how bad does this look, what are the things that we can do about it. So, you think about measurement, there's preparing, collecting data, and then analyzing. Preparing and collecting data, they're both important, they're not too difficult. Really understanding that data, analyzing that data, and understanding if your whole process was actually worth it, if you did the right thing, is the very important part. So we're going to spend on topic number 8, process behavior charts. I actually had a lot of fun with it. Then it comes to the part of the evolution. So we looked at the results and okay, how do we evolve that, right? So we learned that our organization is actually at a certain level of maturity when it comes to this process or this part of the software development process. And how do we evolve from there? So we're going to talk a little bit about that. And then I want to reserve one particular topic to software management in Agile development. Because sometimes you're reading the books and you're going through the topics and everything, and you look at it and say, but that's not how my company is developing software anymore. You will see that actually all of it applies, right? But there's some things that are very specific to organizations that are using Agile development. If you're using Scrum, if you're using Kanban, it doesn't matter. But there are additional things that you can measure and that you can benefit from. I might bring this topic to earlier in the course. Some possible project topics, best practices, case study, like you work at an organization and you have a really interesting story to tell and you want to explain, and have some really good insights about that. Software quality metrics, generically speaking, metrics in agile projects, as I mentioned, or you can suggest your own project. One thing I'm going to say about projects was I got that answer from, I think it was from Dr. Chan. A lot of the times there was some flexibility on whatever you're going to choose. So am I going to do this, or am I going to do that? How is this professor really going to grade so many different topics and so many? We're really looking. So this is a master's program, right? We're not, it's not high school. Like, hey, I did this, I graduated, good. We're looking for insights, right? I would love to read something that, oh, yeah, I didn't think of that. This is interesting. Those are really good insights, and that's the kind of thinking that is encouraged in a course like that, right? So whatever topic you choose, say what you think about it, right? I might look at it and just say, yeah, no, I agree, yeah, I noticed that already, or I might say, I thought about it, and it's an interesting perspective, but we need to have your insights, your own perspectives. So make sure to include that. So, important dates. I should say this is subject to change. Hopefully not. The abstract of your project on September 16th. So we're going to have decided on what is the topic that we chose, and we need to have an abstract, just some blurb about what your project is going to be. You need to be able to look at it and say, this looks good, I think it's a good idea, let's go for it. Homework 1 and 2, sometime around the end of September and end of October. Then we have the final exam, which is on the very last weekend. It goes on a Friday. So the thing about the final exam, especially when it's a take-home, personally, I like to sit down and just do it. Right? It takes 3 hours, 4 hours. I asked my wife to get out of the house with the kids, and I just go there and sit down and do it. But you do have the whole weekend. It's a deliverable that you send, you attach to the assignment. It's not the online quiz that once you enter, you have a certain number of hours. Right? So keep that in mind. And then the final project, there's going to be a Word document and a PowerPoint. And why do we have both? I like to, personally, my reason for both, because I kind of asked this question myself. I like to go through the PowerPoint and understand, like this is the 30,000-foot view of the work that you're doing. Okay, that gives me enough context to scan through the document much more carefully and know what you're talking about. So, hey, are we going to Disneyland or are we going to Universal Studios? Okay, Disneyland. So, this is what we're going to be talking about, and I know what to expect in there, instead of just finding things out as I go through the document. It helps a lot, actually. Early delivery is encouraged. It's due on December 11th, but if you guys think that you're ready, your team is ready, feel free to deliver whenever you're ready. I think that was it. Any questions? Please have some questions. Thank you. Go for it.
Well, the first thing I noticed is the exam dates might be the same weekend for both courses.
They might. And I'm going to talk to Dr. Choi, and because this is my first time teaching at this university. I remember actually having that kind of challenge as well. I think that this is something that we could potentially agree on changing, but I'm going to consult with Dr. Choi on the best practices here.
Yeah, it has to be within the final week. So, but they can check, but the challenge is that you guys don't want to take exams during the weekdays, weekends. So that means either before the final week, or after the final week. So then many of you don't want to take after the final week, but before the final week. That's actually nice. That's why probably you guys schedule similar way. But university actually will allow have 2 finals take place on the same day. But if you go beyond 2, then you can complain to the faculty members you have more than 2. So probably we can arrange that somehow, but also you guys typically have like not just one day, but weekend, entire weekend to do it. So you can probably schedule one doing on Saturday, on the other on Monday, so Sunday. So that's another possibility, but we can talk about it. I didn't know that exactly for the same day.
Also, we could actually give another exam on the following week later. But then we have a problem, like we have a mid-term at least 1 week for grading. So faculty members need time to grade. So we may not have enough time to finish the whole grading. So that's the reason we sometimes give the exam early, so we can finish the grading on time.
So that's one of the reasons that I have 3 days to complete, because if you have something that is very time oriented and you have to put in a problem, so you do it whenever you want, where you have some more flexibility. I guess that would also help. Any other questions? No? All right.
All right, thanks so much. Welcome.